Welcome back to the stage of victory, transcending history and the internet, a tale of souls and prinnies eternally retold. Welcome back to PrinnyCast. I'm your host, Chris.
I'm Mike.
And we have a special guest with her, Grover.
Hello.
So, what have you guys been playing this week?
Well, Torchlight 2 came out, as you know, and I didn't play a whole lot of it because I am still really heavily playing World of Warcraft in order to get ready for Mists of Pandaria, but I did play it a little bit, and I have to say I really like what I played so far.
So basically that and WoW's been your entire week?
Pretty much. I have not actually played anything else this week.
What happened to your old school gaming approach there?
I got my Nintendo fixed and then kind of set it off to the side.
So it was a matter of it was a goal.
Well, it was more of something that I wanted to do because for a while, during raid times when we were in, downtime, I would sit there and play my Nintendo, but I got to games that would stop working on this, not real Nintendo. It plays Nintendo games, but it's not a real Nintendo. So I decided I'd fix my old one, and then we just stopped raiding. So I stopped having a reason to do that.
So how about you, Grover?
Well, this week I've been playing a lot of Minecraft, and as you know with Minecraft, they're always adding new stuff constantly. Mm-hmm. But the game I've been playing more, and it seems more interesting, is Kerbal Space Program. That is, it's an alpha development right now. It's really coming alive.
Yeah, I actually played a little bit of that myself. You'll probably see a video at some point, if not as we speak, of my horrible attempt of getting somewhere with it. It's a bit of a challenge. It's a thinking game. Definitely a thinking game. Bit on the physics side.
I've also been playing a little of PlanetSide 2 beta, and it's alright.
Nothing to write home about?
Well, I'm not really a first-person shooter player, so I can't give too much about it.
As for myself, I've still been tinkering a little bit with Cloudstone that you saw last week. Of course, Minecraft and Counter-Strike Source, I've still been playing those off and on. Also a little game on Congregate called Bit Dungeon that I kind of got into. You'll probably be seeing some video of that, and the other game that I got gifted to me the week before last, and I completely forgot that I had it last week, called Guns of Icarus on Steam. And it's kind of a tower defense / third-person shooter. It's kind of different.
It's a steampunk game, isn't it?
Yes, very steampunk.
Yeah. I remember seeing that during the summer sale, and I thought about picking it up, and I never did.
I can't really say it's addicting, but it's interesting enough. I want to see where it goes. And also, I picked up the Humble Indie Bundle 6, which came out not too long ago. It's only got about a week left, so if you're interested at all into the games I'm about to mention, be sure to pick that up. This time it's Torchlight, the first one, Richard, or as some people are calling it, Rockhard, but honestly it is Richard, Shatter, Vessel, and Spaz, also known as Space Pirates and Zombies. And if you pay over about $6, you get Dust Force. Once again, you'll probably be seeing more of me playing these games awfully than you will be seeing any of the type of games we'll be discussing this week, which is a little different. Usually I try to upload video that has something to do with what we're talking about, but this time I thought it would be more interesting for people to see these indie games that don't get a lot of attention. And since the Humble Indie Bundle 6 is actually kind of news there, I think we can transition this right into game news.
Let's do it!
Let's go! So, I don't know why I brain farted on this, but last week we were talking about, of course, casual games and hardcore games. And how could I not mention Minecraft at some point into that conversation? It is such a big, huge thing in the gaming world today, both on the casual end and on the hardcore end. But they're gearing up for their big Halloween update. Now, they've been releasing these little snapshots for a while, and inclusion of things like bats and witches, which is kind of interesting. Among many, many other things, it's going to be a huge update. And also, I completely neglected to mention Second Life, which is another one of those major explosions of social and casual gaming. But the reason I mention it here is Second Life has made the move to actually be on Steam soon.
Oh, that's an interesting move.
On Steam?
On Steam.
Wow.
As will, there was also news recently that Castle Crashers, after enjoying its run on XBLA for a very long time, is finally moving its way on Steam too.
This is one that I will definitely be picking up because I've heard so many good things about the Xbox One, and I really want to play the game. So when it hits Steam, I'll definitely pick it up.
Between its humor and the fact that there's just so few good beat-em-up games anymore. And in a reverse angle, Terraria, which, you kind of have to admit a lot of what made Terraria, I think it's Terraria, successful as it was, so many people that were really into Minecraft at the time saying, hey, this is kind of like Minecraft, it's a different take on Minecraft, you might enjoy it too. And as much as a lot of Terraria fans may hate that, that's kind of why a lot of people tried it out. But the reason I bring it up is it's coming to XBLA and PSN. It's going the opposite direction, kind of like Minecraft did earlier this year.
I have a few friends that picked that game up that keep trying to get me to play it, but those kind of games are just not really for me.
It's got a Castlevania angle to it that I think might interest people a little more than the slower pace of Minecraft did.
I do love Terraria. I have played holy crap out of it. But, well, as you know, they quit updating it, and that really saddened me. But the last update made that game uber hard. The game is torturously hard.
Now, when I first got it, it was fairly early in its life cycles, before too many of the updates had come to pass, and I put a good 50 hours into it, but it was a game that I had a hard time coming back to. So maybe I should try that out again since there's been so many updates to it, even though I don't know if I should be getting into a game that's really going to torture me.
Well, that's if you play single player. The game is really intended for multiple players, although you can play by yourself. It gets kind of boring, though, by yourself, kind of like Minecraft. Multiplayer is the way to go.
I don't know, I've always played most games single player, but that's largely to do with my internet connection, so...
That is true.
Now, this is news that seems to have already hit everywhere, but I thought I might as well mention this anyway. And it's kind of strange because it's not something that usually makes the news unless it's a major title like Grand Theft Auto. But recently Microsoft re-trademarked the Killer Instinct and its logos, which could mean a Killer Instinct sequel. But more than likely, we're going to see some re-releases on XBLA, or maybe with an HD remix to it.
I assumed that as well. I don't see them making a new one, although there has been a resurgence of the fighting game genre, so it's possible. Maybe they'll do both. I suspect that if they're going to go for the sequel, they'll re-release the game first to see how well it does, and then maybe hit a sequel if it's really popular.
And speaking of sequels, Ace Attorney 5, Gakuten Saiban 5, is going to be on the 3DS. There's a lot of people that's been waiting for the Ace Attorney series to come back again. Though I don't think it's been that long since 4.
It was one of those series that I wanted to play, and I just never got around to picking it up. And now it's so irritatingly rare. It's a little bit rough to find.
What's humorous is I think I know more people that played the Harvey Birdman, which was, of course, based off the TV show, that used the Ace Attorney style engine. I know more people that played that than I do the Ace Attorney games. But I know they're super popular. Obviously so if they put him in as a character in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom. Let me see. That is the wrong note. So the PS3 is getting a slim version, but this wasn't so much of a surprise as the rest of the news that attaches to it. Sony is not introducing a price cut, and people are completely bewildered by this because it's happening about the same time as the Wii U launch. And so they were expecting this to be kind of a combative effect to try to do something to disrupt the sales. And the excuses they're giving is so bizarre. I don't know if you guys have heard much about this, but it's basically along the lines of, well, people start off with the standard system, and instead of upgrading with a bigger hard drive, they just buy a new system. So we're giving them an easier choice of which of these newer systems to buy. They are according to that statement, they are going to be basing most of this on people who's going to be buying 2 PS3s. That is not a business model.
I haven't even bought one yet. Why in the world would I want 2?
It just seems like a very big mistake, especially when PS3 is starting to edge its way out into the number 1 slot in recent months. There's going to be a release on the PSN that a lot of people have been waiting for. Probably try to throw in a trailer here. I'm trying not to use so many trailers as I used to, but it's called Tokyo Jungle. And it's basically a game where humanity is gone, and you play as an animal trying to survive in the wilderness of what's left behind. And what animal you pick, I think, is limited early on, but as you progress, you can unlock different animals. So it's everything from, like, chickens and ducks and largely these little dogs, all the way up to, like, elephants and giraffes and dinosaurs. It's one of those odd releases that you expect out of Japan, and a lot of people are really getting excited for it.
I don't know. That one just sounds odd.
And there's a ton of launches in the next couple of days. We got Dead or Alive 5, we've got Testament of Sherlock Holmes, you got Darksiders 2, you've got Mist of Pandaria, like Mike was saying, you've got One Piece Pirate Warriors, which is basically the One Piece anime set in the Dynasty Warriors engine. So expect a lot of flinging arms and bodies flying. But before we get into our major topic, despite the fact that half the games all the games on that list can technically be considered a sequel or an advancement or a remake, there is one more major news story. According to Bloomberg, Zynga bought a little-known company called A Bit Lucky for over $20 million. This was a company that was making games similar to what they make. And the Zynga vice president is claiming that Zynga is going to be the next Steam of social gaming.
So are they saying that they're going to try and compete with Steam?
That's a very good question. Because Steam, as I understand it, don't quote me on this because I'm not terribly familiar with the politics of Steam, but a lot of social gaming is getting thrown off of Steam. It never is allowed to be on the Steam because it's not the type of direction they want their stuff to go in. So I don't know if that's going to be much in the competition as far as social gaming against Steam, but still that comparison is a little strange, especially when you consider this is all in the midst of roughly, I believe it's about 7 executives leaving the company in the last few months alone, as well as some major courtroom brawls with Electronic Arts, who's been, of course, moving heavier into the social gaming market with their Command & Conquer and their Sims, and I believe there's a SimCity one as well. And it just seems like there's a really bad time for Zynga to be getting too big for their pants.
I would have to agree. I mean, we all heard last week that I'm not much of a social gamer, so it's not something that I would be interested in picking up. But
I got pulled into the Zynga games at one point, and to me anymore, they're just a time waster. And if you want to waste less time, you got to give them money.
Pretty much. There's their business model right there.
Exactly.
Waste time, but if we want to succeed, give us a little extra money.
Pay to win.
As one more little mention before we break on into our main topic, which, strangely enough, the game news went faster than I expected. You guys didn't have a lot to say about it.
Well, I noticed after the PlayStation news, when you said, you guys are being quiet, I was like, I'm sitting here talking. My microphone was muted, but I didn't say anything rapidly important, so...
Well, this is good to know. It explains so much. But I just wanted to mention the One Ups, who's a band who does a lot of game remixes, live game remixes, have dumped dozens of their tunes on YouTube channel recently. So if you like groovy or jazzy or chill style game remixes, predominantly Nintendo related, but not always. They've got some Earthworm Jim and this, that, and the other on there. So check them out on their channel. So our topic for this week is sequels and remakes and re-releases. This is, like last week, a very big topic. So if there's a particular series or re-release or anything that you think should have been on here, feel free to comment about it. But we're basically hitting what we think needs to be hit.
Let's start with Breath of Fire, I suppose.
Interesting choice.
Well,
it was the Game Boy Advance, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was in... Was it the Game Boy Advance or was it the DS that they added the first Breath of Fire onto?
I think it was Advance.
Yeah, I actually have it right here. Here's a copy in my hand right now of Breath of Fire 2 for the Game Boy Advance. Oh, this is the second one, though. This is Breath of Fire 2. I don't know if the first one was on it, but the second one, I actually own that one, so I know for sure that it's on the Game Boy Advance.
You can stop trying to interrupt you. But yes, 1 and 2 were released originally on the Super Nintendo and re-released on the Game Boy Advance. Oddly enough, despite the games are all made by Capcom, I believe the very first Breath of Fire was actually published by Square.
Yes, it was actually pro-produced, two-way produced by Capcom and Squaresoft at the same time.
So it's kind of like the Square and Nintendo team-up for Super Mario RPG?
Yeah, kind of like that. Kind of the same thing with Squaresoft and Disney.
So there's also a Breath of Fire 3 and 4, which came out for the PlayStation 1, and Breath of Fire 5, which is actually called Dragon Quarter, which came out for the PlayStation 2, which was a huge departure for the series.
Yeah, the game, it went such in a radical opposite direction of the other games that I could never get into it. It was bad. I don't like to say it, but it was bad.
Well, I never really played the Breath of Fire series, so
okay.
I don't have a lot on that one, but